live stream is a space that's not as scary as a lot of people think that it is. It's not as expensive to put together as a lot of people think that it is. And at the end of the day, it's terrifying what's happened to our business as a whole.
Yeah.
But I really strongly urge people to continue to evolve and be open-minded to innovating within their own careers and taking that chance, because you can surprise yourself.
Welcome to the Music Combine. Here we are with Greg and I and our very special guest. Actually, this guest wasn't on the schedule for this go around this month, but we are so excited to have her. She's number one, a music business professional based out of here in LA with a lot of experience in the concert industry. She's worked for people like Danny Wimmer Presents and is currently the senior marketing director at Veeps, which is Joel and Benji Madden's new venture, which, if most people don't know, is the new platform to stream your band on for, streaming concerts during pandemic. It's such a pleasure. We had her boyfriend on and friend of ours, Ben Weeks, a few weeks ago. That's not a pun. And I'm so happy to introduce Lindsey Medina from Veeps, senior marketing director.
Welcome.
How you doing?
Doing good. That's a very, very kind intro. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, of course. No problem. How are things going? How are stuff during pandemic? You surviving, all that stuff?
All of that stuff. Look, this industry is kind of the craziest place to be in, especially coming from the live side of things, but feel insanely lucky and grateful that I landed where I did in the middle of all the chaos.
So we know about you currently doing, and that you came from DWP, and you've probably worked on like festivals like Chicago Open Air and Rock Jacksonville and stuff like that. But kind of, where did you come from? Like, what has been kind of your secret sauce to success to where you are at now, working for the Maddens, essentially?
Really, it's just one thing, and it's passion.
Yeah.
I went to my first concert ever when I was 8 years old. And it was No Doubt at Universal Amphitheater. And
what a great venue, which is now, I'm sorry to say this, and excuse my language, fucking Harry Potter world.
I think that's, what? I use that exact same language when I talk about it too.
Fucking Harry Potter world.
Fucking Harry Potter world. No, it was a really special place and a night that I don't think I will ever forget.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just this feeling of being in there, and Fishbone was opening.
Oh God.
Awesome.
Yeah, for No Doubt. And I just remember being in there. And I was there with my sister and my mom and my dad. And there was all these different people from different walks of life. And I feel like that's also a pun to the No Doubt song, Different People.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody was in there, and nobody maybe necessarily had anything in common outside of their shared love for this band.
Yeah.
And that was really an energy and a feeling that really inspired me. And from that moment on, I kind of was more interested in the intricacies and how that show actually happened.
So at 8 years old, instead of being more interested in being a front man or a woman, like Gwen Stefani has inspired so many artists, I'm sure, you were more interested in the aspect of how the show and everything came together. You were inspired by that.
Yeah. How do you get all these people together? How do you create this kind of energy and this kind of feeling? Don't get me wrong. I played guitar. I did guitar lessons for a couple of years there. I was no good, and I knew that. I know my singing voice, although I will say my actual performance quality, if I'm doing like a karaoke.
I was going to say, what's
10 out of 10.
What's your go-to for karaoke?
Oh gosh, that is a tough one. Maybe a little.
Like asking which one of your favorite children you have, right? Yeah. Kind of like asking which one is your favorite children.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe a little Four Non Blondes. What's up?
Nice.
That's a top one for me. Guns N' Roses is going to be a top. Pretty much any Guns N' Roses song is going to be a top one for me.
So you'll drag out Estranged for like 11 minutes, right?
Oh, you bet, and I will.
Oh, God bless you.
Do that air guitar solo. Like, well, you wouldn't.
Lindsey, you're doing God's work when you're doing that.
I feel like it. I feel like there's an energy that's flowing through my body, and just like it's the all of like the Hendrixes of the world, and Janis Joplin's that just kind of like take over me.
Channel through you.
Yeah. You bet.
No Ouija board needed here.
Give me a microphone.
Give me an SM58. So that's amazing. That's amazing. And it seems like, you know, I come from a similar background. It's like once I saw Judas Priest when I was like 8 or 9 years old, not in concert, unfortunately. But once I saw, you know, the video for You Got Another Thing Coming, I'm like, that's what I want to do. Let's do this. Let's do this now. Come on. And it's so refreshing because I feel like there's so many people, especially, and I'm not going to call anyone out or anything, but I find like you do find people in the industry in general, and sometimes in LA where it's like, I'm here for the job.
Yep.
I'm here for the provenance of the job. I'm not here for the passion in doing it right.
Exactly. And I'm the kind of person that like wakes up every morning remembering that show at Gibson and remembering, I mean, I had another one a few years later that was actually at the same venue, and it was Guns N' Roses before everybody came back together. At the same venue, and my sister and I had tickets. We had loge seats, and the Guns N' Roses was playing 3 nights in a row. We had tickets for the second night. I remember that show. Yeah, and he was 3.5 hours late. But he played a 3-hour set, and it was so spectacular that we went back home, got home at like 4 a.m, and bought tickets for the next night, and ended up in the front of the pit, and some very nice folks behind us had to go backstage to mix and mingle and asked if we could save their spot. Came back from that backstage schmooze that they did, and because we actually were able to save their spot, offered us their credentials for after the show. So that was sort of my first shot when I was 15 to actually go backstage and like start talking to people and figuring out who was who and how that was actually happening.
Yeah, that to me, like, you want to talk about Guns N' Roses experience. I think we talked on the phone about this. Yeah. Was Metallica Guns N' Roses tour, and I saw both nights at Giant Stadium with Faith No More opening, and it was exactly the same thing. Like, Metallica played for 3 hours, now take a break for 3 hours.
Right.
Guns N' Roses is going to come on.
Like, there was a thing that if that was the tour, thinking of when you watch the behind the music, that's when Metallica, they start talking about that gig specifically and how he was being a little fucking drama queen.
Well, they're talking about the Montreal show and that, but the thing is, the Giant Stadium shows, he did walk off that stage because he got nailed in the nuts with a can of hairspray, and I was 2 rows behind the person who did it. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, maybe we should go before this turns into a riot. But the Montreal show was only like a few weeks later where Hetfield got cooked.
And he said, yeah, right. And he said, what did he say? He was like drinking wine and smoking cigarettes. He's like, my throat's really bad right now. I can't go on stage.
Well, my favorite, like, not to bash on Guns N' Roses because we've had friends who work for Slash and stuff on the show, but my favorite is if you watch Year and a Half of Life of Metallica. And this will pivot into my next thing for Lindsey. You watch Hetfield go through Guns N' Roses' backstage writer, and he's like, "Subi, honey, so his voice could sound like this," and it's hilarious if you can ever find that video clip of Hetfield doing that. But to kind of talk to you, Lindsey, about that, you and I had a private conversation about this, but it's something it's a memory that you really cherish out of your career to date. And I have a few of those, but I would love to, being that you are so passionate, I think this is a great story our listeners should hear because it shows that if you work hard and fly right, that you can really accomplish anything. And that's you working at DWP and working with Metallica, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had this gigantic move that we were about to make, and it was close to our conversations with Danny Wimmer and Gary Spivak, and Gary Spivak is the primary talent buyer, the EVP of talent over at DWP. But in March of 2019, we knew that we had Metallica for every single one of our big rock festivals in 2020, but it wasn't going to be just at one headlining set. It was going to be 2 sets on every single show, Friday and Sunday, 2 completely different, unique sets for these fans. Yeah, so it was like, okay, how are we going to be able to do this? How are we going to roll this out? And traditionally, what we would do is for the spring shows, we would announce them late fall, kind of early winter. And then, be able to rinse and repeat in the spring for the fall shows. But with Metallica and being able to come out with them headlining all 5 of the big rock festivals, that was something that we wanted to be able to roll out all as one gigantic piece. So basically 5 festivals, 10 headlining sets, all unique, and a really, really, really great exciting piece I think that came out of it that I wasn't expecting was the level of love and support from the Metallica team. I think, I'm so lucky to have worked with half of the artists that I've worked with. Guns N' Roses being one of them, which was a pinch me moment. But Metallica is everywhere. Metallica is, you're getting hit with ads online all the time on social media for, t-shirts from, some vendor that you've never heard of before, and it's got that Metallica logo on it. Right. You've got people who are hip hop fans who really probably couldn't name you 5 Metallica songs, who are wearing like little millennials, Gen Zers that are wearing Metallica shirts because it's a cool thing to do.
Right.
Well, to me, that opens up the floodgates to say, okay, here was something that used to be so gigantic, and you couldn't walk across anybody on the street who couldn't name you 5 Metallica songs. And now,
or there's the one poser fan that just goes, "Oh, I really like Enter Sandman."
Let's take it one step further with Metallica being able to cross multiple genres and have people that are rappers wearing their shirt because their branding cross-pollinates into other genres. But let's take it one step further. I'm a big fan of the show Billions, and there was an episode specifically about Metallica, and the guy's name's Axelrod, and he went in and hung out with Metallica backstage before the show, and James is asking him advice about financial advice and stuff, and it's really cool to see them be so big that they're on a show, and it's basically around the show, and he's going through his favorite, Metallica's his classic rock, right? Yeah. And he's going through their albums and that one's classic, Injustice for All, but it was really Ride the Lightning that did it for me. And that was really cool. It's wow, they've really expanded. The universe is ever expanding. Metallica's always going to be ever expanding.
Yep. And you don't see bands like that are kind of coming into the scene anymore, or be able to see their trajectory or where you think that they're going to end up going. It's going to be nowhere near what the level of this band has accomplished.
They're always relevant to so it's amazing.
Yeah. And I was unbelievably fortunate to work with them and their team. Their team are some of the greatest people I've ever met and ever worked with. And it's kind of one of those things where once you kind of get to work with them, you understand why they're such a huge band and why they're so successful. And it's because they've been surrounding themselves with some of the smartest people in this business. And
that's Q Prime, right? Q Prime.
Q Prime, and then there's also Metallica HQ, the team over at what they call HQ, which is up in San Rafael.
Sure.
And they handle all the other pieces of their business, because a lot of people don't understand. Metallica's got their own whiskey called Blackened, and it is awesome.
Yeah, it is. I have had a few bottles of it.
It's so good.
So good.
And they did it right. They're not putting their name out there and making it a celebrity product. They want the product to be able to speak for itself. And the master distiller, Dave Pickerel, was the master distiller of Whistle Pig for so many years.
Yep,
and
he sure is.
Master distiller of Maker's Mark for so many years. And this blend is so good. They've got their venture with
Arrogant Bastard.
Enter Night.
Yeah, Enter Night.
Which is a Pilsner. Yeah. So there's all these different entities and that kind of feed into this gigantic Metallica orb that I had no idea about before I got the pleasure to work with them to be able to put this thing together. And it was not easy, and not because of them. I think it was because of the pressure that I put on myself of making sure that the entire launch was perfect and flawless. And, in the middle of trying to get everything together, we had announced it in October 10th of last year, that they were playing all 5 of these festivals and doing 10 headlining appearances. But to organize that was quite challenging. How we announced it was with a live stream from headquarters, which happens to be a very short distance from Sacramento, which is where we were having our festival Aftershock. So I'm in Louisville, and we've got 3 back-to-back-to-back weekends of festivals that are happening. First one was a country one. Second one was, the classic cool Americana. And the last one was the rock show that Guns N' Roses headlined, the reunited Guns N' Roses headlined. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, as we're executing boots on the ground with all 3 of these festivals, with 1 week off and then going to Sacramento to do our biggest festival, Aftershock, the day before we opened doors on Aftershock is when we announced the Metallica run and put those tickets on pre-sale.
So that Thursday, because Aftershock always goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That Thursday, you guys were on it.
We're on it. So, but we wanted to get people there. We wanted to get media partners there, which means every media partner needed an NDA before we could talk to them about anything. They'd have to sign that NDA. We flew them out to San Rafael. We put them up in a hotel. We paid a shuttle to drive them around in circles so they would be disoriented by the time they got to HQ, so they didn't fully know where they were.
Nice. That's what we government.
I mean, I felt like it was a movie, but in real life, I really did. But to be there and then to have, Gary and Danny and Lars there to make this gigantic announcement, be able to set that up, put all the pieces in place within, the decor pieces, and where in there are we doing it? And I mean it when I say, I cannot say this enough times, their team was so accommodating and so wonderful to work with. They made it a literal dream come true. And I think that moment that shaking Lars's hand and, him thanking me for all the hard work that we had put into it, I think is one of those surreal moments where it's like, you're Lars. Why are you talking? What is happening?
So cool.
How am I here? And then roll it right into, the festival weekend, which was kind of spectacular too, because everybody was talking about, it was Aftershock was sold out, but everybody couldn't stop talking about.
That was the Aftershock with like Meshuggah, Tool, like that was a big one.
Gigantic one. Yeah. Yeah. We had Blink-182 in there too. It was a little more of that California feel with the rock, it was, and full circle moment too. Fishbone was actually on that lineup too.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was standing side stage for Fishbone and just about losing it, and was standing right next to Maynard because he left rehearsal for a few minutes just to come and check out Fishbone.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He didn't say anything, though. He was just watching, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother him. Yeah. That's not my jam. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to freak out to Fishbone.
Although Joe Rogan seems to have pulled everything anyone can out of Maynard.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to watch.
He's a very nice guy, though. He really is.
Yeah.
I've never, honestly, I really have been, I think, super lucky in that I haven't had an overwhelmingly bad experience with anybody, really.
Yeah. Your acumen is like right on par with what it needs to be. And I think, I'm not trying to kiss up to you, but like if they choose to work with you, there's a reason for it, and I'm sure they're saying the same thing on their end that you're saying about them, but beyond the glitz and glamour part.
Yeah, and I've made friends in them that and some of these people that I'm still unbelievably lucky to have them, whether they were, they are who they are, or they're, janitors sweeping up a high school. I don't really care. If you're a good person, I want to be a friend, and that's what they are.
I think that's an important point to touch on. The one thing that we kind of motto the podcast after, and it's not something we've really pushed, but we were in the beginning, was the hashtag DVD, don't be a dick.
Yep.
And the thing is that you have to be, at least I have found, whether it's been the financial end of working with artists or working on tours or whatever, you always do it from the point of an act of service.
Yep.
And you don't look at it as I'm here for my own gain. I'm here to help people achieve their dreams. And it's so refreshing. I mean, we've talked a little bit before this, but it's so refreshing seeing the animation in your face about how passionate you really are and how you definitely walk the walk. So that's amazing. And the thing is, I'm sure you and I have both seen people come and go because they didn't hold the torch properly.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it's really great. So let's talk about, you left Danny Wimmer probably a few months ago, just shortly before the new year?
No. So that actually, look, when COVID hit and everything kind of went nuts, obviously it just sort of there was nothing to really market.
Right.
At that point in time. And I had a really killer team that was over there, and some of which are still over there and really still kicking butt with the Offstage with DWP series. Which again is probably one of the biggest compliments ever, is that, you get to train these people and they do so well and they're so smart, and, that the hope is, and I mean this truly, like, let the people who work for me, like, let them take my job, please. That means I did my job right. I trained them well. And there's good karma that's in that.
Sure.
So I got insanely lucky, and talk about being good to people and being close with people. And no matter where they are sort of on the totem pole, a girl who was actually one of my best friends, but she was actually my intern way back in the day when I was still at Live Nation. And then I hired her to come be my coordinator at DWP. She ended up going and working, going back to the person who sort of brought her up in the industry. And so, and then all of a sudden, randomly, when COVID hit, took on this additional part-time job in addition to her full-time job as being a live stream tech consultant for this company called Veeps. Well, she hits me up maybe a few weeks after I was gone from DWP and says, look, they have no marketing. They need marketing. And are you open? Are you interested? And if so, let me throw your name in the ring. And I said, that would be awesome. And I did my research, obviously, before I said that. And I'm somebody who I feel like I'm good at my job, but I also feel like I'm only good at my job when I really believe in the product and the piece that I'm pushing.
Yeah.
So it's not good for me, for my reputation, to tag myself onto something that isn't something I like with my whole heart believe in.
Absolutely, because people read right through that shit anyway. And
exactly, how are you going to break through a crowded marketplace if the marketer doesn't even fully believe in the product? That's just not how I operate. So I did my research, and then I realized in that it's the most artist friendly model. Here we are sitting in the middle of this chaos that, all the rug has been ripped out from underneath everybody on the touring side of this business, which is where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
And
we just did the Roadie Roundtable, which will be an episode before yours that comes out. It'll be the one right before this one. And we had people from Five Finger Death Punch. We had people from Kiss. We had all these people, and the relief you saw in their faces from seeing each other just on Zoom.
Yeah.
I thought people were going to start crying, right, Greg? I mean, like, it was literally, and that's the emails afterwards. It's like people are missing being on the road. I just
doing this full time, and then completely stopped. And now, like, some of them have, side hustles that they're tapping into, and some just were living for this, and they were younger, and that's what their hope was. And now they're kind of lost. But them being in the same platform together and being able to talk to each other again, because a lot of those guys helped each other out that we interviewed, and it was really, like, it was a special episode in the that we captured, like, why they're so passionate about what they do. And I've never interviewed anybody behind the scenes at that level. Yeah. So it was just like, we want to give back. And that's why we started this. So it's like, we're feeling the pain from what these guys
are all around. So continue. I'm so sorry to cut you off.
No. And then I fully understand that and appreciate that. And, I'm so close still with everybody who, from DWP, I used to call my site family, who were the people who weren't necessarily in the office, but they were working every show with us. And there's a bond that forms when you're out and you're sort of in the trenches, literally and metaphorically sweating your balls off.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that everything is perfect before you roll doors or during or whatever. And that bond is something you can't break. So to me, it was about, where can I find that family again? Where can I find that energy? And being able to, just having sort of the interview, which my former coordinator, who is about to take over the world, and I hope to work for her someday, is that she put me up for at Veeps. It was an unbelievable opportunity in getting that interview with Joel and with Sherry, who's our COO and founder, and with Greg Patterson, who comes from Eventbrite, who is our chief strategy officer.
Yeah.
It was sort of one of those moments of, I jumped on Zoom with them, and it was like, it was supposed to be a 30-minute interview, and it turned into a 75-minute think tank where Benji jumped on like 20 minutes in. And it was, throwing ideas back and forth. It was, talking about different ways to gamify the platform. And, New Kids on the Block randomly came up, and I, kind of threw out there to Joel, I go, look, I'm not going to lie, like, I think you can tell a lot about somebody by knowing who their favorite new kid is. So who's yours?
Right.
And he said, Jordan, and everybody starts cracking up. He's like, what? You pegged me for a Donnie guy, didn't you? You pegged me for a Donnie guy. And I go,
must be the tattoos.
Exactly. I'm like, I totally pegged you for a Donnie guy. That was on me. And I think that energy and that vibe and that camaraderie that I could feel between them was exactly the energy I was looking for.
And just naturally, inherently fell into place. It sounds like. That's great.
Yeah. And their whole thing, it was like, look, like, this is not about us right now. This industry is hurting. And at the end of the day, if we can help these artists find a way to get this revenue like back in their pockets, to be able to create a sustainable form of income. Mm-hmm. And the hope being, obviously, that even when touring comes back, that you're coming out of this whole pandemic better than you went into it. So not only are you getting those guarantees and all that jazz, you've got maybe some live stream business on top of it.
What's interesting is I've looked at the platform, and am I correct in saying that it wasn't always for live streaming? There was another purpose to the company, right? Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So it was originally started as a VIP ticketing platform, where, and the brothers always talk to me about it as if, like, look, this is what they wish they had when they were coming up. where, you know, when you're going out on tour, you've got your VIP packages, everybody takes a percentage of it or whatever, you know, be it the promoter, be it the, you know, whomever. But with Veeps, these mid-tier artists who, for the most part, could really only survive when they were consistently out on the road, could be able to keep a little bit more of that money that they were making from their super fans, the
Right.
people who would spend that money on their meet and greets, all of that. That's money that they felt was really supposed to be more of that within the artist's pocket.
Yeah.
So that was originally how it started. And the stories I hear is that as recently as like February, they were going out and shopping around this technology that they have that was a ticketed live stream platform where everything was behind a paywall. And everybody was like, meh, we've got concerts. Don't worry. Like, we don't need this. We don't see a need for it. And all of a sudden, you know, fast forward 1 month and here we are.
There's always going to be concerts. What are you talking about?
And then the unimaginable happened and everything flipped from, you know, VIP ticketing and digital fan clubs to here's live stream. And this is, let's create a more refined, more produced version, not like an Instagram live where you're going to, you know, see it's just sort of the video quality is kind of, and, you know, and nothing against it. We tell everybody all the time, you do Instagram live, you do Facebook live. That's great. That's a great teaser for what you're going to be doing. But basically put the energy, put the love, and put the money in the production back into your ticketed live stream, because at the end of the day, the fan has to be able to feel like what they're spending their money on is worth it. So put that extra oomph into it. And I'm not going to lie, me as a fan, I'm like somebody who's very much addicted to the live experience. Otherwise I wouldn't be here at all. I feel that energy. I'm able to, you know, grab Ben, grab my dog, beam it to my TV, grab a glass of wine, and like hang out and actually enjoy the show. And for, you know, that hour and a half or however long that live stream is, I do feel like I'm there. I do feel like I'm kind of, I'm satisfying that craving that I have.
That was the question. You know, I'm a musician myself, and this whole time we've been trying to pivot towards the online model and streaming. But the thing that's missing, I think, is a platform that has that all those components together where we could streamline the process. We don't have to figure it out because right. There's a quality, there's a place for raw content, but you know, we're looking for something like what the Veeps is doing right now, because that is missing right now. So when I saw what he told me and I looked at it, I was like, that is something I can really stand behind, because it's really, that's what's needed right now. And I kind of want to get into how that works. So when somebody, a band has a concert streamed, is it going to be because they're not touring right now? If it's like, you got to find the band where their location is. So logistically, if somebody's in LA, are they going to play a venue in LA and they're going to get streamed there versus, you know, in New York City at the Beacon Theater, et cetera, et cetera?
It's totally up to the artist. So that's kind of what we preach, is that every artist is different. Every artist brand is different. And what's going to work for one is not going to work for all. Right. So the beauty in what the platform is that we take zero commission out of the ticket sales from the artist. We are the only platform out there that takes absolutely zero commission. The artist keeps what they make in ticket revenue, less credit card fees, which is fraction of the revenue. It's a very, very, very small percentage. And then what we do is we charge a 15% service fee on top of the ticket directly to the fan to cover our hard costs that we have, which is, you know, allowing this having this platform for all these artists.
Things cost money.
Exactly. Because it's not free to utilize, you know, for us to build in this software into this platform and build out all you know, we've got a chatbot feature where we're watching fans communicate from all over the world and creating friendships and swapping information through that, and people they would have never met at a show that would have been in your local market.
So that's huge, as Donald Trump would say. But I was going to say, so to me, and the silver lining through all of this shit is the learning curve, one, but two, to have a company that's already putting in the time and developing proprietary methods to be able to make the concert as quality as possible, to get that connection that we're missing on the live organicness that is missing out. However, the cost versus operating costs and logistics versus touring on the traditional model, you're going to save so much more money.
Yep.
And there's so much more money to be made and so much more audience to capture, to get in front of, just because if you're a bigger
worldwide thing, it is 100% a worldwide thing. You as an artist, you sign up on the platform, you create your own, and our branding takes a backseat. So it's whatever the artist name is. So we've got a ton going on with, God love her and her entire team too, Brandy Carlisle. So it's brandycarlisle.veeps.com. And it's your image that you want in there. You click view live stream. Here's all your ticket packages. It costs you $0 as an artist to sign up for the platform. When you sign up for the platform, you get assigned an artist relations rep. Our artist relations team is unbelievable.
Lindsey, do you guys work with any band, or do you work with select bands, or like?
I work with a variety of bands.
Like, what if you suck though, and you want to still?
If you suck and you hit me up, let me try to help you not suck. But you get that artist relations rep who's going to hold your hand and building the event with you and making sure that everything's kind of going right. You get my girl Kat, who is our live stream tech consultant, who's going to help you out with the mics and feeding out all the audio and video through OBS or whichever streaming.
Okay, we need to talk to her. Because OBS has been a fucking beast for us.
Okay, we'll talk to Kat because oh my little Miss Kat Cody, and she's the reason why I'm here, and she's just unbelievably smart and just is one of those people that is like I don't know about that now, but I'm gonna know more about it than most people do in 5 minutes from now. So just give me 5. But and then you also get the marketing support where I've built out for artists to keep this a little bit more turnkey, sort of like a 2-page sheet of like this is what we've seen be successful. Here are the tactics that we've seen sell more tickets. Here is a checklist for you to be able to download with the sample, social media posting schedule so you can, make sure that you're staying on top of things. Here's, every so often we'll be able to support some of these artists by throwing a little bit of our budget behind them just to help them drive more ticket sales because we believe in them. And it's more about making sure these artists are marketing the platform for us. At the end of the day, if we take care of these artists are going to tell other people about the positive experience that they've had utilizing the platform and how much more money they made than they thought that they were actually going to make. And that word of mouth is the only marketing power that we really care about.
Great how it and again, I'm going to use that word, in the infrastructure of what you guys were doing pre-COVID was being looked into, and then it was kind of like put to the side, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, glad we did that research because now we're going to fucking implement this because lucky we did that. And now there is a fucking place for this. And I think it's fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Because for me, I'm like we're sitting there trying to figure out OBS and stuff. I mean, like, it's just like, it's great to have a company you can just go to and be able to just like not have to worry about all the technicalities that go into this. And then a guy to mentor you into how to actually put that out to market. It's definitely awesome, and that gets me really excited too as a original artist.
I love to hear that. That's literally the entire goal. Is like, look, we want to, and this is again the reason why I jumped on was because I'm talking to Benj and Joel on my interview. It was like, look, at the end of the day, we just want to be good people. We want to do good business and be good people. And if you feel like you fit with that, great. If you do not fit with that, you have no part. We don't think you're the right fit for this place. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Was I dreaming when you said that? Was I dreaming?
Yeah, it's funny. I've worked in several pretty large corporate situations around the music industry, and it's amazing the backbiting, the sniping, and the I'm here for me. And I think it's almost a reiteration from what I said before, but it's one of those things you just don't find anymore is the integrity. It just seems that the attrition rate at so many companies is so high, and if profits aren't a certain degree, that you're out.
Yeah. And
we don't develop people as from their skill sets to benefit the whole of the sum of the parts, I think, in a lot of the time. So that's great to hear that you guys do that. That's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Seems like everything's aligned correctly. And it's really like Marcus Lamona says, it's people, process, product at the end of if the people aren't there, it's, the processes aren't going to be fulfilled the way they need to be fulfilled because people don't care. And then the product suffers because of the lack of attention towards it. So definitely congratulate you. We congratulate you on all the success you're having. And again, this is like the beginning. It's needed. And I could see this just kind of blowing up into something like that's going to be the norm for musicians.
It's unbelievable the growth that I've seen in the past 3 months that I've been here.
Yeah.
It's, the shows that Brandy has done, and she's done a lot with it.
She's amazing.
She's amazing artist, so talented, and her entire team so kind and so on top of it, and so doing it for the right reasons, where the money that she's making off of these shows is going directly back into the pockets of her band and crew. And I mean everybody from their touring salaries that they were going to make, which everybody knows is a little bit more elevated from what the sort of standard is if you're not out on the road. For everybody from all of her production people to her photographers that were going out on the road with her. I mean, she wants to take care of her people, and she's going to work really hard to do that. So to watch it from Brandi Carlile to a Liam Payne to a Black Veil Brides to LP, who just did something with us this past Saturday.
I saw that. The initiative you guys did, or initiative he did, was to feed food banks in England, right?
Liam Payne,
yeah, Liam Payne, right?
Yep.
He was doing a whole concert series just to feed the food banks, and because I guess it's an issue where they don't have enough food because of COVID and stuff like that.
Yep.
Not that there's never an issue in that department of philanthropy, but like it was especially targeted towards that.
Yeah, this hits on so many different tiers. It's pretty ridiculous. Like, I mean, if you think about, if you're a creative type like yourself, I mean, it's like the gears in my head are going like turning hard, because it's so many different ways to add value and give back. And I was going to ask you, so we had a group of touring techs and sound guys. Those guys had the ability to still work for the bands that they work for if those bands were to go through a platform like the Veeps?
Correct.
Sure.
Correct. And you can do it wherever you want. I mean, we had this much smaller band called Sure that's from LA, and they live in a house together. And so they literally did a residency for 6 nights, and they for 6 nights played in 6 different rooms of the one house at the beginning of quarantine. So that worked for them. With Brandy, she does it in she's got this really cool like barn studio with like a little stage in there that feels super intimate and feels like it's welcoming you into her world. And that is very much on brand for her. Yeah. And it's beautiful. We've got Dirty Heads, who pay a line producer, go into a full-on studio with a huge backdrop. They do an album in its entirety every single show. And it's just super crisp and super clean audio and video. And it's them. And that is very much on brand for them. Liam Payne went to a venue in the UK that was an independent venue to be able to support that venue, support the lighting, support the audio, support all of the people that make the show actually happen.
So this kind of could be the backbone to really save the fucking industry.
Yeah,
like,
that's the hope.
The potentiality here.
That's the hope. We had Lissy do a live stream from the Parkway Theater in Minneapolis on this past Sunday, and had donated a large portion of the proceeds to that venue to keep that venue going. So I think it's all of what you want to make of it. I've also got friends of mine who were touring photographers, videographers, lighting people, etc., who went in and like started this incredible warehouse in Anaheim. Mm-hmm. That is a live stream. It's a studio built for live streaming. You've got 44 feet of LED back wall. You've got backline already there.
Wow.
You just bought a jib. You've got techs and everybody there. So if you're an artist that wants a turnkey solution and a hyper premium looking stream, you can go there, and you've got people to take care of the whole thing for you. And because we're super lucky in knowing a lot of these people, we've got these preferred partners that will give our clients these really stellar rates that you wouldn't get elsewhere.
Sure.
Funny, as me and my band are adjusting to this, individually trying to set it up with each of our rooms from each of our homes has been a real challenge. Mm-hmm. I figured it out. However, I took the time to do that. But to streamline that process, I mean, I went to my rehearsal studio, and I'm like, I talked to the manager, and he has a room, and he set it up for live performances. Mm-hmm. So it's great to find. I'm like, okay, so we can use him and utilize his thing, but we're still working on getting it, getting the next level, which is what you're actually providing, which is Very, very interesting. So it's needed because all these bands I see at the studio, they're all like talking and seeing what they're do. So it seems like this would be the right path to take, I think, for every band out there or every artist.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. And again, like, it's just about having the most artist-friendly model. Let's rebuild this industry in the right way. Let's, redistribute everything. If you take care of these artists and their teams, like, the rest of everything else is going to work itself out. It's not cutting anybody out. This is not cutting out an agent. It's none of that. It's let's figure out the way to keep everybody, agents, managers, like marketing people.
Right.
Let's figure out a way to keep everybody working and solid and feeling like there's nothing anymore that can hold them back from being successful.
I think with streaming as a tool for the artist, whether it's Spotify, whether it's YouTube, whatever it might be, our industry is changing. I think there's a lot of things that, it's like when MP3s came about, the record industry just went kicking and screaming of like, oh, no one's going to buy crappy sounding music. Well, they did. Yep. And at the same stroke, I feel like this time around with the whole online streaming platform, it's more a lack of education, or I don't see myself doing that. So you guys kind of fit that piece, that puzzle piece for people where they really don't have an excuse anymore to kind of do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we understand fully that it for a lot of people is the wild, wild west. This is sort of uncharted territory before a few months ago. And so because of that, it was a priority for us to help support these artists through production solutions. And I kind of make the joke and it is kind of funny when you're talking about artists who go out on the road and their entire teams are worried about production and logistics and sound and lighting and all of that. Already, they don't realize how similar it actually is to setting all of that up within a live stream until you get them on the phone and you say, look, all of these pieces that literally just put it into one show. You can do it from a venue, you can do it from your house, you can do it from a studio, you can do it from wherever the heck you want.
I just watched the maybe a few weeks ago because it just happened to pop up on my bands in town was the Animals as Leaders in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm. That was actually done at my friend's studio.
I was going to ask because it looks like that studio. It looks like that studio. Okay, so it was.
Yeah, shout out to Nick One Sound, Kevin Garcia.
That's yes. I was like, oh, what's Nick One Sound? I was like, I was looking at all the credits afterwards. Okay, so that place looks amazing, by the way.
It is amazing.
And they made that Animals as Leader show look fucking dope.
And funny enough,
and I've seen those guys like 5 or 6 times, but I was like excited to watch it in my house. I was sitting right here looking at the TV on Apple TV, and like
that's the whole thing.
I was like, this is great. This is amazing. Everyone should do it this way.
That's the whole point. Get that excitement because you're putting that energy and that work into it, and the fan actually feels like this is an actual, like they're at an actual show.
Yeah.
And I met Kevin who runs that spot through actually DWP. He used to do a ton of the editing on the content that we would get at the festivals.
Fantastic. There was a question somebody asked like in one of our episodes. It was like, why would anybody want to be part of a live stream when they can watch any live stream? And it's like people want to be part of an experience. And they can be part of that experience, or they don't have to choose to be part of that experience. But I think people want to be part of something that is exclusive to that experience, and that's the pain point.
Well, to go to that point, your story, Greg. I mean, the night before, it was actually the night Newsom put into effect the stay-at-home order. I was sitting here in my house watching 311 do 311 days on nugs.net. And I just remember
same guy, by the way, did that one too.
Oh well, it looks amazing. It all looks friggin' amazing. Well, glad I could be of patronage. Just there
you go. There you go.
But my point is that like, I didn't have to go to sweaty Vegas to go see 311 for 3 shows, and it was great, and I had fun, and I
think it's great, dude. I mean, if they
and I mean, I can replay it over and over again through the nugs.net app, not to take anything away from Veeps, because I think you guys are probably the way better platform, by the way.
But actually, since you brought that up, the artist actually has the opportunity to choose whether or not they want to keep their live stream available for on demand for rewatch by these fans later.
Great.
So you can do anywhere from 2 weeks to forever. You can keep this stream up. Now, my whole thing was, when you're selling tickets to an actual concert, once that concert happens, like you can't sell any more tickets. You're done. for these artists to
Yeah.
be able to put this energy into a live stream and then be able to take pieces of the content that they just broadcasted to use that to promote how awesome their live stream was after the fact and be able to continue to make money and sell tickets.
Huge.
After it's done is gigantic.
Unheard of too.
Yeah. So that's exciting too. So when you're talking about going back and rewatching it as many times as you want, it's 100% up to the artist. Most people leave it up for a week, maybe 2. Some people leave it up for a full month. Some people leave it up forever.
So yeah, that's my next question. So how does that work with the publishing and stuff? Because the thing is that it would have to be, if you spent $10 on a concert, but yet you can listen to the stream, do you guys bake that into the price, or is it a monthly subscription? What is it?
It's a live thing. So like the artist has to go live.
Okay. Gotcha. Makes sense.
Okay. And then essentially that's a great selling point for you guys. For if I was, if you're talking to me as an artist and using your platform, it's like, that is a great selling point. And you're not selling anything. You're really just telling them what the benefit is of using your platform. And that's huge.
Yep.
So cool.
And I like how you guys really leverage distribution. I think that's the key in today's market, regardless, right? I mean, you guys not so much are a live stream company, but you're more of a live stream distribution company.
Yeah, we're a ticketing company.
Yeah.
For live stream.
That's amazing.
And making it so that, it's not, you can't get in unless you purchased a ticket. You can try to share certain things or links, and if you try to share the link to the actual stream when it's happening with your friend and they try to click on that link, you're not getting in. So
that's an amazing way of handling it.
Yep.
An amazing way of handling it.
So what's your ideal alignment for partnerships for the future of Veeps? That was a good question that we had on here.
That's a really good question. Those are actually a lot of which we have some really exciting ones that are kind of in talks that we'll be able to kind of talk about a lot more in the coming weeks.
How do you get those partnerships? Do they reach out to you? Do you look for them? And how does that happen?
It goes both ways. So we do have a really killer partnership with Spotify too. Where we'll be able to do pre-sales for these shows. For instance, the Liam Payne show was actually capped. We had a certain amount of tickets that we were able to sell. So we did a Spotify pre-sale. We did it like a traditional concert on sale would be. We did an announce on a Wednesday. We did the Spotify pre-sale on the Thursday for 12 hours. And then we did actually until it sold out, because that allocation had sold out before then. And then we went into the typical on sale on that Friday morning. And doing that with Spotify, everybody was hitting up the page saying, how do we become a Spotify, like a top fan on Spotify and what's going on? And that I think shows to the power of these shows and these live streams and people actually really wanting to be open and happy to purchase tickets for a more quality experience. But something like that is something that obviously we love and that is a huge perk to the artists. What we're looking for is relationships that are going to benefit the clients that we have coming onto the platform, so that it's like, yeah, sure, you have the Veeps marketing machine and we're here behind you and to help you with your marketing efforts on your channels and on our channels. Now you've also got X, Y, and Z partners who can get behind you, whether it's a media outlet, whether it's a stream, like a Spotify streaming service or whatnot. So again, we've got, with some of the ones that I can talk about in a couple of weeks from now, those are friends that I've been lucky enough to make, like media friends that I've been lucky enough to make, that I reached out to saying, hey, look, I've got some kind of crazy ideas, and I know that that I have crazy ideas, and I know you're kind of into them sometimes, so can I run them by you? And, it's the responses after talking to people about the platform and brainstorming with them have been eye-opening, and have actually, the ideas that I had end up transforming into something so much bigger and better when you get more heads in on it.
Terrific. And the whole ecosystem for success is there, because you have, again, the people that are already been doing this, and you're just leveraging them and then just giving them the opportunity to subsidize the income that they would have been making on the road that they can make here so much more easily when you have something set up proprietary like Veeps. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing here, because the long run of things, like the learning curve's there, but it's not as much overwhelming for an artist when they have your kind of platform. But at the same time, I would think that for the loss of time for not touring, they would be able to make up for that loss with newer revenue through this type of platform. Yeah. Much easier. And going forward, even easier. It would be like a rinse and repeat process after this. right?
Yep, 100%. And it's been interesting because we want to be able to hold everybody's hand and walk them through this process. Eventually the idea is for the platform to be pretty turnkey, where this becomes, live streaming becomes the norm, and you actually technically don't need to talk to anybody because we're giving you all of the resources. Here they are. Here is expert advice from this field, this field, this field, and this field. You can literally do this whole thing. The back end to be able to set up an event as an artist is unbelievably simple and easy and straightforward.
Love it. You're sharing and it gives a newfound hope in something that we've lost right now. Again, I think people are going to love this episode because the viewers or then the listeners are going to be people like myself, bands, artists that just don't know what's coming down the pike, and then like roadies and techs that we talk to like feel bad. We feel like we're like thinking like, and then Mike mentioned this, and I was like, holy shit. This is something that can really fucking be a game changer.
Yeah.
Like, clearly. And
that's exactly how I felt when I talked to him. It was like, yeah, and I've been having that like never-ending hamster wheel of ideas has been happening in my mind for 3 months now.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. And look, at the end of the day, as it's still the wild, wild west, and we're really like trying to make sure that everybody knows we're here to help you through it every step of the way before it becomes that super turnkey idea. But regardless, in the current time, after we walk an artist through and they get through their first live stream, when they come back to do their second, they don't even want to talk to us. They're like, we get it. It's fine. We've got the formula. We know the production. We understand how to handle our marketing and what's working for us. We know what the setup is. We get it.
Right.
So, and to see everybody take that kind of ownership and really be excited about it to move forward has been really inspiring for me too.
I mean, that's the thing, ownership, right? If you don't have any skin in the game, it's usually not gonna work.
And it's good that you're transparent about it too. It's like, wild, wild west, but our intentions are right where they need to be. So it's like, that's just reassuring in itself because people aren't left to their own devices. And then when finally they are, they feel confident enough to take the torch and be able to handle things on their own. Good for you.
Good for Veeps. Good for Joel and Benj and Sherry and our other founder, Kyle Heller, who is on, they're all unbelievable and smart.
Well,
and
I think it's great. It comes from a point of service, and it's like it's something bigger than you and better, bigger than yourselves. And you guys, again, goes back to your earlier comment. If you're not a good person, please don't work here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know
don't work here.
Would have any ill intentions to do something like this. I don't see where somebody would be malicious and how.
Oh, you do not live in Los Angeles, buddy. You do not live in Los Angeles, pal. You do not live in any one of the 9-1 zip codes. Let's just put it that way. There's always a way for someone to try to hook something.
Always.
Well, I'm inspired by what you're doing, and again, I think everybody else would be too. Will be, and is obviously you're doing it. So fantastic.
Get that.
Lindsey, man, it's such absolute honor to meet you in person first, and it's been an absolute honor to have you on the show. I mean, just the value the past 60 minutes has been amazing, and thank you.
Thank you guys. This has been fun.
Is there anything?
Yeah, that's the next question. Is there anything you want to pitch?
Ooh.
We give the 2 to 3 minutes at the end for the guest to pitch whatever they got going on.
I feel like that's my entire job is pitching. No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, live stream is a space that's not as scary as a lot of people think that it is. It's not as expensive to put together as a lot of people think that it is. And at the end of the day, it's terrifying what's happened to our business as a whole.
Yeah.
But I really strongly urge people to continue to evolve and be open-minded to innovating within their own careers and taking that chance, because you can surprise yourself. And I think that those people who are open and willing to pivot in this moment are going to be those ones that are coming out of this with an entirely new fan base, an entirely new business that they didn't realize that they had before. And I have, in everybody I've talked to, even on like the biggest artists that we've had on the platform, even when touring comes back, this is not something that they're looking at stopping. In addition, it's more of an additional piece to the revenue that they're making. You're going to make your guarantee, and that's fantastic. But why not, create this experience in a key market that, you know, everybody wants to be at Slane Castle in Ireland and see that show. Well, now you can be, and it's not, the world is not so disconnected with its,
Sure.
you know, for music fans. But I would definitely just say, look, take the leap, you know, reach out to us if you're interested in it. We'll kind of talk you through what this is. And again, it's absolutely nothing about growing our company. It's about making sure that we're rebuilding this business the right way.
Sure.
And totally get that from everything you've said and you're doing. So yeah, I don't feel any other slighted thing going on there. So it's all genuine and
no shady business.
No shady business.
No shady business. No shady business.
Awesome.
Well, Lindsey, again, you are amazing. Thank you so much. And
Back at you.
we'll be
Thanks.
talking soon.
Can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Got that, Mike?
I'm working on it. And streaming's not that hard, right? Yo, son.
Dude, that was
Dropping the pearls from Lindsey Medina.
probably the most important guest we've had in the aspect of like solving the actual problem that's going on.
Oh, yeah. No. Like,
Brings it full circle.
They've reinvented the wheel in the best way possible. And, the comment made, and we said it twice or three times during the whole interview, we don't want shady people working here, paraphrase, but we don't want, if you're not a good person, don't be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that we come from. And I think that's why that was such a great interview is, they kind of stick not onto our message, but the universal message of being good people, of having good ethic when you work with people is super important.
They're for the artist. They're for the solving a problem. They're not
Sure.
about else. And I think when you do that, everything else just falls into place around it.
Of course.
So bands out there that heard this episode or hearing it, like I gotta say, like from an artist, being in an artist's shoes, it is some serious value. I think, don't get me wrong here. I think if I'm wrong, I'm mistaken, I'm sorry, but like I think that artists will have a better chance now by using a platform like this than they did before, because it's harder traditionally when you're not at a level that's the success of like Metallica or any big band out there, and you're a band that's like trying to get out there in the first place. I think this is a great way to do that. That's going to be even a better fit for you as opposed to the traditional means. And that's very, very inspiring, and it gives me new vigor about what's going on. So, last week we had a almost 2.5 hour episode for the tech side of it, and now we hear from her that there is a possible solution for bands to be able to still use their crews in a different way, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
If you look at how this all went down and how they pivoted their model from being a VIP meet and greet company to being a streaming VIP company known as Veeps, it's an amazing story. And that only comes from from people being genuine and thoughtful and integral and all that stuff. I don't have much to say on that other than pretty amazing stuff. If you've listened to this episode, follow us. Go to themusiccombine.com. Go to our Instagram.
Go to linktr.ee/.
Why don't we do this? Why don't they go to Music Combine now and follow the link tree from there?
You can go to the Music Combine now.
.com and go to our link tree, and has all of our streaming platforms. Also sign up on the mailing list. We would love to hear from you. We also have some free cool stuff we're sending out to people as well right now.
Absolutely. You want to add value to what you guys are doing, you sign up to that list. We'll get you that some real awesome resources that you can use to apply to what you're doing right now. And tune in for this episode. And thank you for listening.
Greg, always a pleasure to serve with you, sir.
MJ.
All right, brother.
Peace.